Global stock markets hit fresh record highs this last week as positive vaccine news and the beginnings of the Biden transition lifted optimism. The S&P 500 hit a fresh all-time record high above 3,600, while the Dow hit 30,000. European markets have actually underperformed the US for much of this year, but are set for their best month ever, with the French CAC 40 index up 21% this month, and the Italian Ibex index up a whopping 25.6%. The sense that vaccines will be both effective and be becoming more widely available through the first half of 2021, with life returning to a new normal situation, has been the primary driver for the outperformance of these peripheral markets in November. And this last couple of weeks has indeed seen some incredibly positive vaccine news. Moderna announced the results of its mRNA 1273 vaccine with an efficacy rate of 94.5% on the 16th of November. The Pfizer BioNTech results released in November 18 revealed a 95% efficacy for their BNT162b2 vaccine. And on Monday, Oxford-AstraZeneca released the results of their AZD1222 vaccine trials, which showed an average of 70% efficacy rate for trials in the UK and Brazil. Now, we've been eagerly awaiting the results of the Oxford-AstraZeneca trials because of the importance to lower and middle income nations around the world. The Astra vaccine costs a fraction of the price set by Pfizer, and it will be manufactured in multiple countries under license from India to Brazil. Of the 33.8 million doses of the Oxford vaccine that the Australian government has purchased, 30 million will be produced by CSL in Melbourne. The vaccine should be easier to deploy than others that need to be stored in ultra-cold temperatures, so transportation and logistics issues will be much easier to address. However, analysts were underwhelmed by the AstraZeneca detail. Chief of the White House's Operation Warp Speed expressed concern over the age group tested, saying 90% efficacy was only shown for the lowest risk groups below the age of 55. AstraZeneca was also forced to defend the slightly random nature of dosages used in the trials as well. One US analyst even went as far as saying that we believe that this product will never be licensed in the US. So markets weakened slightly into the end of the US Thanksgiving shortened week. US politics was also a focus, with Biden nominating key members of his transition team. And arguably the biggest role from a financial markets perspective is the role of Treasury Secretary. Now, media has been focused all week on Janet Yellen being the preferred candidate. Given her previous role as chair of the Federal Reserve, president of the San Francisco Fed, and chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors under Bill Clinton, markets were understandably excited by the possibility. Assuming she's confirmed, she would also be the first woman to serve as Treasury Secretary in the 231 years of its existence. The idea that a potential Treasury Secretary Yellen and Fed Chair Powell could work more closely together to shape and coordinate super easy monetary policy and massive fiscal stimulus that could drive a rapid post-pandemic recovery in the US saw the US dollar under pressure this last week, with the closely watched DXY index, which is an index of the value of the US dollar relative to the basket of major trading partners, fell to a 2.5-year low this last week. And Westpac is forecasting that this will continue, with the index expected to test what will be 8-year lows in 2022. The weaker US dollar supported the Aussie dollar this last week too, but it's not just been the US dollar weakness that's been a key driver. The Aussie is seen as heavily leveraged into China, and demand for iron ore in China has hit all-time record levels over the last 5 months, as steel production has hit record after record. This has driven the price of iron ore close to 6-year highs, and expectations of a green wave of investment into renewables, including technologies like electric vehicles in China, has seen the price of copper surge to 8-year highs, as copper inventory levels in China has dropped to 6-year lows. That theme should continue to support the Aussie dollar in the near term. Now, it's a busy week next week, both here and in key economies around the world. There's arguably limited room for surprises from the RBI policy statement Tuesday, given the raft of announcements that we saw on the 3rd of November, but we do have third quarter GDP on Wednesday, and Westpac is forecasting that output increased by 3% in the September quarter, though that would still leave it some 3.9% below levels a year earlier. In the US, we have the November Institute of Supply Management, or ISM survey on Tuesday, and also the key US non-farm payrolls on Friday. Fed Chair Powell will also testify to the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday as well. China will also report Purchasing Manager Indices, or PMI indices, for November early next week, and we have an important virtual OPEC ministerial meeting on Tuesday, which is set to decide on whether to push back production increases that are due to commence early January into the second quarter of next year. These are all factors we'll talk about in next week's Markets Update.